All right, everybody. Thank you for coming today. Today we're gonna have our very own Marco, and he's gonna present on something that was basically requested, which is the securing your home perimeter. Basically, that's how the focus we try to get to this presentation. Some items for housekeeping. There will not be any physical meetings in the near future. Um, Unfortunately, as all of you may know, that things are not going in the right direction. And in fact, I don't think we have yet seen the worst of this. So please stay safe. Take this seriously. I know you're in California. I don't need to say this, but we do this in California, in Florida a lot, and obviously nobody paid much attention. So please try to stay safe. Mute yourself if you're not asking a question or if you're not participating. I'm assuming I'll let Marco in a minute take over. Uh, but we want you to be aware that we're going to continue doing our meetings online. I actually, believe it or not, I booked my flight for August 14th, thinking that things were going to get better somehow, but we now know that that's not the case. So for now, there's not going to be any physical meetings. Definitely is going to be virtual. Um, we are moving, or we created a Discord server. The invites are in Slack. So please click on the invite and join Discord. If you want to attend DEFCON any way, you're gonna have to have a Discord account because DEFCON decided to do it via Discord. Also, invitation and membership will be verified. We're a little worried about many bots in Discord. Apparently, there's bots. Some of those bots follow you wherever you go, and they're nosy. So we're gonna address that, and we obviously we wanna create an environment where everybody feels free to speak freely and comfortable. Um, as many of you know, there's been layoffs and they're continuing, but the job channel, I'm posting everything I get every week. So there's still jobs out there. And for those of you who had hit, please, if you need help, hit me up, and we'll try to do our best to refer you or send you whatever descriptions we have. The people that was laid off about a week or two ago, some of them are on their second, third interview. So it looks like there's still enough out there. And we need more presentations for the rest of the year. And since we're not going to meet uh, at the library, which was my intent, and it was going to be a planning meeting, we're going to need more online presentations. I believe we have one coming from Lenin. Again, Lenin did an amazing presentation about container security. I'm trying to get Christina, who's a great presenter, to give us another presentation. And then there's other people on talking. So hopefully we'll have some great content coming up. But if you feel like you have something together that you would like to present, you will get priority because obviously you're part of the group. So always the presentations will be saved in the YouTube channel. And if you watching this and you want access to Slack and then Discord, you can email us at info@bhack.org, and we will give you access. So that, again, due to the new variables in Discord, we are getting a little more strict on membership. We want to make sure that if you're gonna be there, you're gonna participate, and we know who you are. The rules are usually no recruiters because I get complaints all the time that recruiters just start reaching out to people and journalists. You can speak to the journalists all you want. I just don't want journalists grabbing the stuff out of the channel, and we don't know who they are. Other than that, thank you for being here today. And with that in mind, I will pass it out to our very own Marco. So Marco, take it away.
All right. Everyone hear me? Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so let me present, share my screen. Did you give me presentation? Yeah, presenter. Like,
Yeah,
so I can share my screen.
you
And I
should
think
have.
there's only one person on mute. So go ahead and unmute everyone. If you can.
Okay, now you're a presenter.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, cool, awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Definitely not good times right now. You know, it looks like a lot of people, you know, or either relatives or people that you know of are either getting sick because of COVID, and in other instances, you know, for other reasons, but kind of related to COVID. So, but anyways, keep your, you know, be safe. And well, that's my first I wanted to say. Uh, so today I'm going to be presenting about how to secure your home. And I'll tell you in a second why I choose this title of Securing the Edge. So with that, I'm gonna go with my disclaimer that all my opinions are my own and they do not represent the opinions of my employer. Although I have to make an exception here, I will have to mention, and it's not a sales pitch or anything, but I will demonstrate something with one of my company's products. But with that being said, it's not a sales, really a sales pitch. It's just, you know, part of the presentation. Any questions, you know, contact me directly. So who I am, as you probably know me already, I've been in Pacific Hackers, aka Hack the Valley, you know, since it was created, and and I've been in the industry for a few years now, and currently working for Fortinet, and I love doing security operations. That's kind of like my expertise, and uh, that's why I really wanted to give this topic because, like Rod said, you know, this was a kind of like an unofficial request. Someone proposed to give a presentation on what are the things that we can do at home, you know, to protect ourselves. And so that's why I picked this topic. So I'm gonna show you different technologies today that is gonna help you to secure your home, from the cheapest to the expensive one, but you know, and then at the end you'll take your, you know, you choose which one to take. So with that, the agenda for today, and we're gonna discuss defensive that. We're gonna compare the technologies, and lastly, I'm gonna do a demo. So why defensive that? So this is the reason for the title, securing the edge. So as you can see, just from the firewall here, firewalls are always in the edge. Now, I have to say, from a modern security operations perspective, firewalls is not the only thing that needs to be, you know, that was kind of like late 90s, you know, early 2000s, you know, way of preventing attacks. But nowadays, you know, attackers are using different things, you know, so that's why in a defense, in that perspective, you have to have all the things that at one point I mentioned. You have to have a firewall, and that's on the edge. You need to have an IPS IDS system, and then, you know, authentication, you know, endpoint detection and response tools, antivirus, host detection, all those things. And again, this is so since at home, I'm thinking, you know, regular people will not have like a web server or will not have any of that. You know, sometimes that's why, you know, we get our modem and then we get one of those like Linksys or, you know, any of those routers, but that's not really, you know, a protection. However, again, attackers are looking for more attractive targets, and your home probably will not be. However, if you do have some servers, then you probably will need something else. As a security professionals, we want to make sure that whatever we're securing, we start from from our house, and making sure our families have the best protection, whether it's an antivirus, whether it is a two-factor authentication, whether, and now even having an option of having a firewall on your home, that is going to block any network attacks. Okay. So this is why I choose securing the edge, because we're going to be talking about firewalls. So what are firewalls? So basically a firewall, and I don't really have to explain it much. You probably know what a firewall is, but basically it's just, an appliance that is gonna block connections based on rules. So you can allow ping, you can allow SSH, you can allow HTTP, HTTPS, get into your house, or you cannot. So let's say that you are at home, and this is very common. They don't put it this way, but what it's basically mean, like on a regular home appliance, like a Linksys router, the port forwarding. Sometimes if you have like I don't know, like a Plex server or something along the line, it will say you have to modify these servers in order to talk to the outside. That's basically this kind of like the same concept in a firewall when you're creating the rules. So that's basically it. You're just creating a rule that is going to either block the connection or not. But again, that's late 90s, early 2000s, not so much. Now we're going to be talking about next generation firewalls. And why I mention that is because next generation firewalls is an all-in-one appliance. You have a proxy server built in. You have a application visibility and control, malware protection. It's able to SSL and decrypt SSL communications. And it has like its own website blocker and stuff like that. Now, with that being said, everybody probably in the room here will say, well, do I really need that at home? But then the answer will be depends what you have at home and what you have to secure. And that's basically the concept when you are purchasing equipment for your enterprises. Obviously, I'm just going to focus right now on a home, but then this is just the same general concept that is going to apply everywhere else. So buy what you need in order to secure your environment. If your environment at home, it's you have servers, just stuff like that. Then you need proxies. Then you need firewalls. Then you need IDS, IPS. You need stuff like that just to have visibility on your network. So with that, I'm gonna give you the options that you have, and also call it contenders, because I'm gonna guide you through some of these technologies, and at the end we're gonna choose a winner. So as you can see on this picture, commercial products are kind of like what's on top, and open source is pretty much an airplane. So once you get the access, whether it's, let's say, on a phone, if you root your phone, you enable capabilities that you didn't have before. If you, in this case, if we install a new firmware on your home device that is just pretend to do basic stuff, now we're gonna be able to make the capability or stuff like that. But just remember, with open source, and I think we talked about this before, open source it's very nice, but it's by any means it's not easy. You really have to know what you're doing in order to apply the concept. Otherwise, you're just gonna be unsecure as everybody else. So with this, you have three options basically. You have the option of being very cheap, almost free, and with that, because again, you can turn on your Linksys device, your Asus, your Netgear into a very sophisticated device where you're going to be able to have not pretty much almost like a next generation firewall, but very close. Then we're going to have the semi-chip, and that's basically installing, whether it's virtualized or whether it's on an actual box. We're going to do, we can install pfSense or OpenSense. And then expensive, then you can buy an actual commercial product. such as a Fortinet firewall, Palo Alto firewall, Checkpoint. So with that, I'm going to continue with what's DD-WRT. I'm not going to read through what's in here, but I'm just going to tell you from experience because I deal with these systems before. DD-WRT is one of my favorites. And the reason why it's one of my favorites is because it has a tons of support for different routers comparing to the other contenders. Pretty much all of them have the same features, but also another thing is it's huge on community contribution. So if something's wrong or doesn't make sense, you can join groups on Facebook where they put questions and people respond to it, and it's very helpful. A lot of people are geeks are running DD-WRT at home for different purposes. Some of them have it at the edge. Some others, they use it as a wireless repeater or wireless access point or whatever the case is. But again, it's an open source product. It's a firmware that is open source. And one of the weaknesses is if you're new to this, one thing, you can break your device, which means that if you don't know how to do this, you will break your system. And what I will suggest, and just is read all the documentation before even applying something, because then at least you know what troubleshooting steps you can do afterwards. And then obviously with open source, not everything is updated right away. So you have to find until the manufacturer sends an update, and then the DD-WRT people makes a change and stuff like that. Next to it is Tomato, and Tomato again is just basically the same as DD-WRT. I like their interface. I think they have a very clean interface, but again, one of the weaknesses is they have a small community. Not everybody uses that, and also the support for routers are not. It's not a lot. So that's pros and cons of it. Lastly, OpenWRT. OpenWRT actually was the precursor of DD-WRT. Now, just like any early Linux distributions, they don't look good. They look, pretty basic, not fancy colors, not any of that. But just like any Linux distribution, you can make anything out of it, So again, some of the weaknesses here is it's not as user friendly. You need to spend a lot of time just to get that going versus the others. They're actually, the GUID's easy to handle. So, and also they only support few routers. Now, I will have to say this because I know someone's going to ask. OpenWRT, you can actually install OpenWRT on a Raspberry Pi, and you can have your portable firewall, every time you travel. Well, not right now, but when you start traveling again, you can actually have your, on a firewall on a Raspberry Pi. Versus DD-WRT and Tomato, they do not have the firmware cannot be run on a Raspberry Pi. Even with the new Raspberry Pi 4 with 8 gigabytes and all that, they still have not have a support for that. Not that I am aware of. If you know and you think we can do it, then please let me know, because I have not read about it. So, so again, these are the three contenders when it comes to Linux firmwares, and I will show you in a second, on the demo how they look. Now let's talk about the other options. pfSense again, it's based on FreeBSD, and it was a very good project. Eventually was bought by Netgate, and that's when they start having like a full-time support, more commercial. But it's still the software itself, it's free, so you can actually download it and try it. Again, I'll show you a demo. But this one, what I like about pfSense is you can actually make this as a next generation firewall. Now, why at the beginning say it's semi-free or semi-cheap is because if you have a you know spare computer with old computer that you want to reuse again, you can install pfSense, and now basically you don't have to spend any other money on firewalls or anything of that. However, if you don't, then you have to buy a firewall. And actually, well, I'll show that in a second. You can buy a bare bone and go from there. OpenSense is the contender for pfSense, and the thing about this is like it actually has a better GUI than pfSense, but basically what they're trying to do is copy what pfSense is. Actually, OpenSense was, because it was built with pfSense code, they end up changing 90% of the code, but still the code might be different, but the features are the same. So, figure out what's going on there. So for me, the winners, and I'm not gonna go through the FortiGate because I'm actually gonna show it in the demo. Here are my winners. The cheapest option will be going for a DD-WRT because it has more support for different routers. Semi-cheap, obviously I will choose pfSense because you can do more stuff with pfSense. There's actually more support from pfSense, and if you actually get a firewall, it's actually very cheap from Netgate. You can actually get 24/7 support from them and stuff like that. And for the expensive, I choose FortiGate because that's not because that's where I work, but in terms of firewall products that I've been working on, I have to say that FortiGate has, lead the way for a while, almost to the point where they knocking down Palo. And Palo, I have a lot of respect for them, especially because they came up with the term next generation firewall. After Palo came up with that term, then a lot of companies like Checkpoint, Fortinet, Unipairs, and all those, they started coming up with the next generation. But for many years, Palo was the only one doing a straight next generation firewall features. Eventually, Fortinet catch up, and now they're fighting against each other. So now I'm gonna go with the demo. So let me switch here to this part. So what I have here is I have a Netgear. So this is just a regular, I don't know if you can see it, hopefully you can. This is just a regular Netgear device. It was an old device from 2015. So I'm gonna take a look at the actual features. So Netgear, just like Linksys and Asus and others, they're trying to come up with features that to make it easy for users to use. But again, that's pretty much saying that's kind of like the same comparison as an Apple device and an Android device, where here you have options to to do basically the basic stuff, versus on an Android you have you can do customization. Again, this is just the straight up GUI from Netgear, and again, it doesn't look bad. It has some features that you can use, stuff like that. But then let me show you here, and let me change cables.
Marco, do you think you can size?
Let me see. Does it look better?
A little better, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
People can take a picture and blow it up.
So what I have here now is this is a Cisco, device, also kind of like old. And I don't know if you probably can see it better, but let me take this out, plug this in, throw the other one away. This one I actually flashed with DD-WRT, and I'm gonna show you in a second how DD-WRT looks like. Go here, let's see what my IP is. Okay. This is the part where I was, hoping it doesn't crash because that was the thing with DWRT. Sometimes you have to like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Uh, uh, Majority of the time, it does work. If it doesn't work, I'll try to do something else, but hopefully it will work. Here you go. So this is what DD-WRT is. If you start going just through the setup, you have a lot of options. You can do dynamic DNS, you can do advanced routing, you can do VLAN, you can create your one port. You can make it a make it like a wireless hotspot where you're gonna get the connection wirelessly, but you can make the one port a LAN port, something along the line. You set up your VLAN tags and stuff like that that actually gonna work with the other whatever the protocol is. I don't recall 801.11x or something. I might be wrong with that. Sorry, but basically it's a protocol that networking manufacturers use for. Let me zoom in here. Hold on. All right. I mean, you can create bridges, you can create a bunch of stuff. On the wireless side, I remember Phil, when he gave his presentation about securing your wireless connection, he basically said, well, having a pre-shared key, no, that's not gonna do anything. Do you really wanna have something secure, then create a radio server and use it from there? Well, here you have the option to do that. You have, you just have to enable it. There's obviously setup that you have to do, but that's one way to do it. You can do enterprise, WPA to enterprise. You can do radius. You can eventually like set up your own hotspot if you want to make it like a hotspot, like a captive portal. You can do a NAS because it has a USB on the back, using Samba, stuff like that. Or you can just create your own VPN server. You can actually, one of the things I like about this is you can create your own VPN connection. So you set up this one as a server, and when you are, at somewhere, traveling, you can actually connect to your home network and with VPN, and it's going to be a point-to-point VPN. You can set it as a VPN client, or you can set it as a server. So those are the neat features that it has. On the security side of things, it has some, things that you can enable here, but that's not really the, where this happens. Where actually everything happens is on the command line. And you will see here that it has a command, options here that you can actually do, stuff like that. This is also, that doesn't work anymore. So even if you try it, that doesn't work. But what I did here is I used to have, what was it, TorGuard VPN access a long time ago. And what I did is I create a VPN connection from this device to their service, because I wanted to access, I wanted to have a full-time VPN connection to a server that has connection in Mexico. And you will wonder why you want to do that. Well, it's because, as you probably know, there's some Netflix series that, that are not shown in the US that are in Mexico. And, I wanted to see that, or any other content in Mexico. So that's the reason why I created this. So this is one way to do it. You have the option, again, this is just, you can create your own policies here. You can create, jobs and stuff like that, NAT, QoS, administration. But again, that's not the beauty of this. The beauty is when you actually start going through the tutorials. This is actually the tutorial for actually setting up your firewall. So if you go to DD-WRT or go to forum.dd-wrt.com, go to the wiki section, and here gives you a good explanation on how to do all that. One of the things I was using it, and that's the reason I have multiple devices. I have like 4 of them. One was my VPN connection, direct connection. The other one was a VPN hub. I'm sorry, a wireless hub. So basically I didn't have any near connections and I wanted to go wire. Well, I connect everything through the through there and work. This is just the basic tutorial, but then also there is, advanced tutorials. If you want to block your, your ad, create like an ad blocker. There's an ad blocker you can create using, stuff like this. It has a proxy server. It has a bunch of stuff, but it's really up to you what you want to do out of it. It's again, I can stress that enough. But again, this is how it looks on a DD-WRT. And that's basically the option for this. And this is a Broadcom chipset. And actually, the ones I mentioned, OpenWRT, DD-WRT, and Tomato, they are based for, or they're made for Broadcom's chipset. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. So the other thing I wanted to show you is pfSense. So pfSense, like I said, you can make your own firewall, next generation firewall. Here's what it's from. This is an actual VM that I created, and if I actually click here, so let's say that you have a box. This is what's gonna show on the box, nothing else. You actually have to connect to a browser in order to access the default. Here, there's a few things that you can do. You can enable, change the factory, or reset the factory default, change the passwords, assign interfaces, enable secure shell, stuff like that. But actually, if you want to start doing other stuff, this is where you do it. So if you go to the Packer Manager here, here's the available packets that you'll be able to install in a pfSense. Again, you have HA proxy, you have Nmap, you have the Nmap, you have NTOP NG, OpenBDD, PF Locker. Again, if you want to block your ads, at home, you can do that. There's other ones here. So again, the list goes on and on. Now for that, again, you can do it virtual, or let me show you here. Oops, my camera blew away. My bad. Sorry about it. Give me just a second. don't know who's on mute, but I can hear you typing.
Oops. It's Diane.
All right. Yeah.
Marco, I'm just curious. Is there anything like groundbreaking new in firewalls these days, or have they kind of just really been the same features?
Well, again, the new thing is next generation firewalls. Who has the best generation firewalls and who can do more? That's basically where we at right now. And actually, I'm going to show you once I show the Fortinet version. So this is a box I created. Actually, not created, but I bought. And as you can see, it just has basic stuff. You have your two ports, one for WAN, one for LAN, USBs. It has a serial port, and that's it. It has 4 gigabytes of RAM, and it has 64 gigabytes of hard drive space. I mean, honestly, only you need like 1 gigabyte to run pfSense on your computer or device. As RAM, obviously the more RAM the better, because depending on the processes that you're running, you can, that's where your feature is gonna be. Okay. Did that answer the question, Diane?
I'm good. Yeah.
So again, the list goes on and on and on. Next contender will be a actual FortiGate, and let me show you what a kind of like a small home device FortiGate looks like.
Hey Marco, I think you can zoom in the screen again. I think it's still short, a little small, brother, if you can. Oh.
All right. So this is what a FortiGate device is. This is a FortiGate 60E, and it has the wireless capability. So actually, yeah. So as you can see on the back, the neat features of this is like you have your, I'm sorry if it's gonna look kind of weird, but you have your one port, you have your DMC port, and then you have ports 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus it's wireless. You have your console port if you need to, boot up, through the console. And that's pretty much it. This one has, for example, one and 1 2. That's obviously for high availability. So if something goes down, well, we can do it from there. Let me zoom in on this one. This is a next generation firewall. By default, this is just the basic, setup. It only has switch controller, VPN, Wi-Fi controller, and all that. But technically, you have proxy, you have intrusion, IP edge, you have a web, a WAP, you have an email filter, so you have an email server, advanced endpoint control. You have, if you are making certificates, generating certificates or stuff like that. It's like a certificate authority, domain IP reputation. So the list goes on and on and on. Forti Sandbox is obviously a sandbox, malware sandbox, and it connects to the cloud. So again, I'm not doing a sales pitch of how good Fortinet or FortiGates are. I'm just telling you what's in this one. But in reality, it is the same thing as what Palo and what Checkpoint and what the others are doing. The thing is the race is who can make it better, who can make it things faster without impacting the machine. I have to tell you, and you can actually read it, don't quote me on this, not because I work for Fortinet, but one of the reasons why FortiGates are leading against like Palos, for example, is in terms, for example, SSL decryption. When they're doing that, it takes a lot of resources on a Palo Alto a box versus a FortiGate. It doesn't take a lot of resources. So again, why and how they're doing things, I don't know, but that's one of the options they have. It also has a pretty picture. So let's see. Right on the bat, you will see that you will have, connections. It will show you your graphs of how your internet connection is, your resources. If you have, if you're using HTTPS. Now, here's another thing that I have to be honest, and this is where you have to be, you have to decide what you want to do. With having a commercial product, sometimes you buy a subscription to a trade intelligence. So, for example, 40Net has their 40Guard security service. And basically, they are the ones who update the latest antivirus, the latest URLs, malicious URLs, malicious IP addresses, and stuff like that. And and that comes with the box. Sometimes you have to pay a fee, but one of the things is that 40Net has a really cheap subscription. If you decide to do the same with a pfSense, yeah, it will have that feature, but you have to pay it elsewhere. So just remember that having a firewall just by itself, without having the latest updates or the latest, trade intelligence updates, it will be worthless, because every day there's something new, and that's what we have to do. And these companies, that's what they do. They collect that information, and they, basically provide it to their paying users. So then for this, you have to get a subscription somewhere to get that type of report. It can be done, but again, you're paying. So when I said it was cheap, then probably it's no longer cheap, because then you still have to pay something. The DD-WRT will not have that feature. There's some options, and I don't remember which tab. You can block some malicious URLs, but it's just giving you like a list. Imagine if you have to put every single list of or URLs for all the malicious URLs out there. It's gonna be like, it's never gonna end. So that's why buying a subscription is better. Let's see. All right, so with that, let's talk about the advantages and the disadvantages. So one of the advantages of using these free solutions are, obviously, they're scalable, they're customizable. It can be tailored or customized to your needs, and you don't have to have like vendor lock-in. So you don't have to pay Palo Alto, you don't have to pay 40Net or anything. At times, there is a high quality software with this, but and you can have a really good security, but if it's set up correctly. Well, one of the disadvantages is, even though these pfSense and DD-WRT are kind of like security products, the security is turned off by default. So it has actually, they don't have a password when you use them the first time. You have to enable like HTTPS in order to access them. You still have to buy the CTI subscriptions. They're not easy to set up. You need equipment, regardless of how you're gonna get the equipment is your choice. For DD-WRT, I will say, if you don't want to screw up your device that you currently have, go online, or actually, well, kind of hard, because before I used to go to like the pawn shops or the thrift stores, and there's always a section where they have these devices, and that's what I used to do. Just got those devices for $5, and obviously you don't know if they work or not, but come home, plug it in, start working on them, boom, now I have a $600 machine. I only paid for $5 for it. But then again, it has a lot of bugs. The equipment, depending where you get it, it's going to be costly. Maintenance is always going to be costly, and this is where I said maintenance, because it's your time. Same maintenance and training. depending how much time you're putting into to learn these technologies, that's the cost. Because maybe instead of going for, you know, somewhere, well, now you have to sit down and learn how to do, you know, set up these devices and stuff like that. So that's where the cost comes in. Not really like a monetary cost, but it's more of, you know, of you. These are my references. I'll share that if you want them. And this was it. It wasn't like a long presentation, but I wanted to, you know, if there was something that you wanted to talk about it, or you know, I was, you know, I can answer any questions now. So let me see.
Hey Marco, this the white FortiNet box you have on your desk right now, something like that, how, or even that particular piece, how much would it cost?
Hey Rod, how much you pay for it?
I'll pay around $700 to $800, and that included 1 year of subscription. What Marco said is very important, and this is a cautionary tale for some of you. If you think that, you know, the first usually the first thought is, oh, let me go to eBay and buy it used. Well, the problem with that is that when you check with the provider, that serial number is probably registered. So they may choose or may choose not to sell you a license. That happened to me with a Panda device, by the way. They told me, we're not going to sell you service. You need to buy a new one. So I would say that the best way to go about this, if you want to buy like a commercial brand, I bought the Fortinet 60E. It's an amazing device.
Yeah, this is this one right here. This same one.
Exactly, and actually, I can tell you also another personal tale. The first night I installed it, I freaked out by seeing all the connections that I was getting. I used to have a Nighthawk, and I think that Nighthawk was compromised, in all honesty. So once I started seeing all those weird connections from Russia and other countries, I pretty much blocked them off, and it's been better for me, to be honest. The throughput is 1 gigabit, but most likely it will depend, obviously, of your last mile, to call it a certain way, from your house or apartment to the provider.
Cool, thank you.
Into the chat. Okay. So I guess I'm just going to read the questions. So Phil asked about the PFSense hardware is actually good. It is. It's actually not too bad, and it's not too expensive. So if you look on their products, you start with this very small one, and also not, lately they have their own cloud version that you can install on AWS. So still, if you're gonna host the stuff on AWS, Google Cloud, and stuff like that, you can actually put a PFSense, and you have to pay a subscription. This one obviously is a small device, but you know, it really depends on you know how much you want to spend. If we go to like Amazon really quick, and I think I had some. So like yeah, let's say for example, you can create your own box out of this. This bare bone device, you know, costs $51. But again, doesn't have anything to it. So you have to buy the everything else. You have to buy the motherboard, the RAM, the whatever. But if we do PFSense, firewall mini PC or something, then it starts giving you some of the stuff. $300, $206. Let me see if I can. You know, it really depends. This one is just, you know, $200, LAN and WAN. That's it. I don't think it has anything else. 16 gigabytes of RAM, of hard drive, 2 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah. So let me see what other questions. what does 40K telemetry mean? That's a good question. I'm not a 40net guru, but it's so you have to understand 40net makes a lot of security products, and that's what we call the fabric. We have a sandbox. We have, these devices are they could also be a router, so that they have SD-WAN capabilities. They have, a lot of options that you can add, and basically the telemetry is, how are they connected and stuff like that. But again, don't quote me on that. I will definitely research more if you're interested. Um, um, okay. I think that's it. Any other questions? You don't want to type, you can speak up.
Well, the deal from Amazon, which I highly recommend, gives pretty much everything. It gives you applications. It gives you antivirus. It gives you look it up. Look it up right there, Marco. Look up the Fortinet 60E, and they might see the same deal I got.
The appliance itself is 60E. I'm sorry, it's 487. But
Right, exactly.
But again, a box without subscription is just another box on your environment.
Right.
You have to pay the subscription.
Can you do a Control Plus so we can all see the subscriptions, because they're enumerated. There you go.
Right here, 24/7.
Yeah, that's the one I got, which I think is 800. The top right is that 24/7. No, I didn't get that one. I think I got the I think I got the 8 to 5. That's the one I got.
Now, again, not a sales pitch, but if you get a device, just a device, it gives you 15 days of everything for free. So you can try it, and if it doesn't work, then you can actually return the device, and you don't have to pay for it. But at least you're able to see what, how does it work and stuff like that. The one I have at home it's just a let me see. Yeah, so this is the device. A bunch of this is the actual device, and this is basically at home I have a very expensive product, and because I'm a Fortinet employee, they give me the subscription for free. But I love the device because you can do a bunch of it. There's a lot you can do with it, and I do have servers, and that's why I want to protect my stuff. But again, you have to really spend the time on learning everything. And I'm not a subject matter expert. I work for the company, but I actually don't touch Fortinet products. But I have to use Fortinet products, so I have to have familiarity. But then when it comes to asking questions, and I rely to the actual people. So
the pans are great too. I had a pan for almost 2 years, 3 years, and unfortunately it was a pan 200, and it got it was only 100 speed wise, and it was not good enough for WAN, but the pans are great too. The thing is that it's the cost is way higher.
Yeah, and that's the thing with subscription. Sometimes it's not the box what you're paying, but it's a subscription. 40 guard subscription is way cheaper than Palo Alto's, and that's why a lot of companies are including the government. It's going Fortinet and leaving Palo because of the cost. Yeah, so that's a good point. Okay. Any other questions? Like, can I get discounts? Unfortunately, not. That's one of the things that I wish I could do. In fact, for me, I can only get one discounted device per year, but I cannot, like, because obviously everything goes by a serial number. They know where I purchased it or who purchased it. And if I, let's say, you register it and it doesn't match with Marco, then they're gonna come back to me and say, hey, how come you have that? So they pretty much say it as you sold it for to make money or something, and that goes
Right.
the stuff. So
right, that's why I said that I made the comment that I highly discourage that you go on eBay, for example, and buy a used one. That it will cost you double. I have a pan that I never use because they will not activate it for me.
Yeah. One of the questions here: how often you should replace a firewall? Well, kind of like what Rod said. If it is for a enterprise, obviously, technology. There's new technology out there every time. So I will say do a refresh every 3 to 4 years, as long as the or if let's say the box is not gonna get any more feature upgrades or upgrades in general, then at that point it's time to move on. It's kind of like Windows 7 and Windows 10. Well, you have to move out of Windows 7 because there's no more support for it. So at that point you have to buy a computer with Windows 10. Same concept. But for the most part, again, not talking for all the companies, but at least my company, they continue upgrading even older versions, and that's actually very interesting. Here's the reason why, because there's a lot of companies out there that are our customers that might not have the money to buy new equipment, or for whatever reason they cannot upgrade, and they need to keep their old FortiGate, but still they need to have the latest patches and stuff like that. So Fortinet actually creates patches for all their firmwares. So like right now we're on 6.4. They still make for 6.2. They still make for 6.0. They still make for 5.5, 5.2. I think I've seen it all the way to like 4. I mean, obviously there's a break where they, basically they will not continue doing it, but for the most part, it's very they patch it, regularly. So so Christina, so why you need a firewall then for? Okay.
Yeah, if your machine is not connecting to the internet, why would you even buy a device like this?
No, but what do you mean? Like the machine is not connected to the internet?
So somebody asked a question that if the machines were not connecting to the internet, if you still had to pay for a license. So the answer is yes. And Christina said, "What would you need a firewall?" And I agree. If you're not,
oh yeah, exactly. Okay, now I get it. Okay, yeah, like I said, you only install a firewall depending on your needs. How secure? If having just a firewall, because this is about psychology too. If you think that, and let's just take it for any other security, physical security products. If having a not a webcam, but a camera in your house, like one of those rings, will make you feel safer to live, to live in that neighborhood, then that's a security, something that you're applying, to secure yourself. If buying one of those locks that cost very expensive versus a $50 lock will make you feel more safer at home, then do it. So same concept with firewalls. If you're gonna be surfing the net and you think that someone is gonna be compromising or your network or anything like that, then maybe it's time to install a firewall. But if you don't really care about it and you only use the internet for YouTube videos, any of that, and maybe you use a VPN subscription somewhere else, then at that point, no, you don't need a firewall at home. Again, it's only depends on your needs and what you're trying to secure.
Right. And what Alex is saying is also valid. If you put yourself into this, you don't need really to buy a branded device. You can do your own pfSense, and like Alex says, he has Snort. That's kudos to you, because it takes a bit to learn Snort and to maintain it.
Yep. And pfSense, for example, has that I think has that hold on, one of the applications is for Snort, I believe, or Suricata. Let me search for it. No. Oh, I thought I had it. Oh, never mind. Here you go. So pfSense that has that application that you can install, and you can create your own rules for and Snort.
Right. Well, also there's a caveat when using Snort or Suricata, which is Suricata is what happens after. It's almost like MariaDB and MySQL. When Cisco bought Snort, then they created Suricata. The thing about this frameworks, they're amazing, but you need two things. One, a device that can actually scan packets on the go, and two, you need huge storage if you're really processing the logs, because you can be overwhelmed pretty quick. In fact, one of the ways to actually attack Snort defense technologies is to overwhelm them with packets, because if in the back end there's not a either log rotation or a good log setup, you either are not going to see it, or the device is going to get slower or even crash.
Let's see.